Hey, welcome back. Or if you're new here, my name is Dan Johnson. I spent 15 years at Boeing and Amazon doing everything I was taught, taking on extra projects, working weekends, and maxing out my 401k so I could retire early. About 3 years ago, I turned 40, and my career and income growth started to flatline. So I sat down with a financial advisor to lock in my retirement plan. I was expecting to hear how well the sacrifices I was making to max out my 401k were paying off. Instead, I was told the opposite. I heard the retirement I had been planning for was further away than I thought. The advisors did say I had two options to still reach my goals. The first was that I could work longer and hope I live long enough and am healthy enough to do all the things I had planned on. Or I could sacrifice even more of my lifestyle today so I could save more money. They did have one other option, but candidly, it was the one I liked the least. They also said I could lower my expectations for retirement, which essentially meant moving somewhere with a lower cost of living, away from the friends and family I'd spent decades building relationships with, the people I actually wanted to spend more time with in retirement. I refused to accept those options, and what I discovered changed everything. Now I'm on a mission to educate fellow corporate America professionals on how to generate the maximum amount of income in retirement using the least amount of dollars. Over the past several weeks, I've made a series of videos discussing a topic most of corporate America isn't considering when they build their retirement plans. That the ultra low tax rates we lived on our entire working careers may not be the same ones we retire into. Today, we'll quickly recap why, then talk about some strategies you can use to plan for it. Quick recap of why the tax rates today might not happen in retirement. First, history. From the 1940s through 1981, the top tax rates regularly sat above 70%, compared to just 37% today. And a household making the equivalent of $100,000 today paid nearly four times more in taxes than what you or I pay now. That's not ancient history, that's just one working career ago. Second, the national debt. It's $39.3 trillion. The federal government is paying over $1 trillion a year just in interest. Historically, across multiple countries, when debt piles up, tax policy is one of the first levers a government pulls to close that. Third, Social Security. The Social Security Trust Fund is projected to run dry by 2032, and the only real ways to close that gap are the same three options my advisor gave to me. Raise the age to qualify, aka work longer. Reduce benefits people receive, aka lower your expectations. Or raise more revenue, which the government only has one method for doing, which is raising taxes, which means for you and me, saving more. Fourth, Medicare and Medicaid. Spending for these programs has grown roughly 50 times faster than inflation since 1966, while the tax rate funding is actually going down. And on top of that, baby boomers are retiring at a record pace and living longer than any generation before them. Fifth, defense spending. We're funding conflicts in Iran, Ukraine, and are in a quasi Cold War with China, with the possible physical conflict over Taiwan in 2027. The last time defense spending was this elevated relative to budget, tax rates were in the same range we discussed in point one. Five separate pressures, all pointing in a similar direction. None of them guaranteed higher rates. But together, if your retirement plan is sitting in a 401k, it means you're betting your entire retirement on today's rates staying exactly where they are. And that might be a risky bet, one most of corporate America is making without even realizing it. Before we jump into strategies, I want to make something clear. This isn't about predicting the future. I don't know if rates are going up or when they're going up. Nobody really does. This is about building a plan that's diversified against different tax outcomes. The same way we're taught to diversify our investments against different assets. The real issue is almost nobody teaches us in corporate America about the tax benefits and disadvantages of all the investment vehicles available to us. Right now, if your money is sitting entirely in a 401k or traditional IRA, you have exactly one tax bucket. And it's the riskiest one because you don't know what the rate you'll pay is going to be until the year you withdraw. But the fix here isn't to predict the future tax rate. It's building a strategy that wins whether that rate is higher or lower when you enter retirement. The truth is, most of the breaks in the tax code were built for business owners and the ultra wealthy, not for W-2 employees like you and me. That's exactly why I'll never tell you to stop putting money into your 401k. Having money tax deferred today, while you're likely at your highest income, is smart, but it can't be your only strategy. So how do we in corporate America create tax diversity in our portfolios as part of our strategy? One way is creating income sources that don't get touched by future tax rates at all. A Roth 401k or Roth IRA is the most familiar tax-free option. You pay taxes on the contributions now at today's known historically low tax rates, and every dollar of growth comes out tax-free in retirement. If you're a high earner boxed out of direct Roth contributions, for single filers, that would be your income minus 401k, HSA, or FSA contributions totaling over $153,000, or for a married couple, that same calculation over $242,000, you still have options. Most companies now offer a Roth 401k, and the same income limits don't apply to those. Roth conversions are another option, where you move traditional 401k or IRA dollars into a Roth in a lower income year. So you pay the tax bill on your own terms, at rates you choose. And if you haven't been using your HSA as a retirement account, not just a medical expense account, that's a third tax-free tool most corporate American professionals leave completely on the table. And it is the most flexible tool you will have access to now and in retirement. I made a full video on the HSA that I'll link in the comments. Beyond the tax-free buckets, there are tools that can generate income sitting entirely outside the traditional tax bracket system and can be used on your terms. Cash value whole life insurance is one of those. It builds cash value you can access through policy loans, which aren't treated as taxable income the way a 401k withdrawal is. And withdrawals you make paid up to the premiums you already paid in aren't taxed at all. Another option is if you own a home. Tapping your equity through a HELOC or reverse mortgage is an option worth exploring and understanding now, even though you wouldn't need to utilize it for a while. Each comes with benefits and trade-offs depending on interest rates and repayment flexibility, but neither counts against your tax bill. An added benefit of all of these assets is that they aren't correlated to the stock market, which gives your portfolio real flexibility if you need extra money in retirement for an emergency, but want to avoid entering a new tax bracket, or if you just want to pull money from a different bucket during a market down year. The truth is, the tax code wasn't built to help corporate America save money, but we still have real options. We can build a portfolio with assets that are taxable now at lower long-term growth rates. We can use tax-deferred now assets. We can use vehicles that are tax-free in retirement. And we even have some vehicles that are tax-deferred now and can be tax-free in retirement. The key is planning early and having a strategy that is aligned with your values and goals. Because when you're tax diversified, you get a say in the tax rate you pay in retirement. It's not just the government. You decide which assets to pull from based on their roles instead of just being exposed to one. This is what a real strategy does. Puts you in charge and makes you confident that you will live the retirement you want. This video isn't about guarantees. It's about taking back control of how much income you generate in retirement, regardless of what the government does. It's about building a strategy around the life you value and desire, as opposed to just using a strategy someone else is trying to fit your life into. It's about reducing risk and making sure you can generate the maximum amount of income in retirement using the least amount of dollars. If anything we covered in this series has you wondering how exposed you are to different tax brackets and tax rates, that's what a free strategy session is for. We can stress test your current plan against a range of future tax scenarios and discuss what real tax diversification could do for your retirement income. DM me or comment below to get that scheduled. And if this series added value, please subscribe and share it with any other corporate America professionals in your life who could use some help getting clarity on aligning their finances with their values and goals.